Welcome to Rack of the Week 144. We're going to do something this week we've never done before. But first, I want to give a shameless plug to my friend's book. It's called Billiards for Beginners. This is written by David Sheasley, the co-author of my book, Shortstop on Straight Pool. And this is a compendium of everything that anyone who's brand new to pool would want to know. It's an easy read, but it's extremely comprehensive. All the terminology and jargon and basics about tables and stance and cues and everything under the sun that you could think of. I've got a scan code on the screen, or I'll put the link to his book in the description. You can check it out. Plenty of time to order it for Christmas. Great book for beginners. You'll like it. What we're going to do today is, for the first time, I'm not going to show a rack. Every rack of the week up till now has been someone successfully completing a rack of straight pool. And I've always thought, you know, those are great lessons. We learn how to do things. And I talk about pitfalls as well. But this week, I just want to show errors, mistakes, things that end runs in the middle of the rack. And this is in no way a comprehensive list of everything that can end a run. I'm going to get off the screen. We're going to go to what the live stream looks like when it's playing. And you'll just hear my voice talking about what we're looking at. First rack here, you see I'm in the end pattern, and I've chosen, obviously, this is my break ball. The 9 ball is going to be my key ball. I want to get position from this 3 to the 15, but I've got to get past the 14. And then I can just bounce over here, and then it's super easy to use the 14 to set up for the key ball. It's a good end pattern, right? Let's watch what happens, however. So I'm drawing the cue ball back. And at first it looked good, but then the cue ball stopped. So terrible. So that's a mistake. And but we got to ask ourselves, how is it a mistake? Now from here, I try and make the combination. Obviously I hate combinations, but if I can make it, maybe I'll have a shot in the 14 and the end pattern can still be good. But I missed the combination. And you can't say to yourself, oh, the rack ended because I missed the combination. No, the rack ended because you didn't get position on the 15. So then you can say, okay, I've got to practice my speed control on my draw shots. Really? Maybe not. How about instead of drawing the cue ball, you go forward like this? And the reason why is, with the position zone for the 14 balls here, this is pool 101. Your cue ball's coming into the position zone. So this is a decision error. And this can happen a lot because during the end pattern, we get it in our heads that we're going to do a certain thing. But you've got to look at it after the cue ball stops and you played position for the ball right here that I shot. You've got to stop and look and reevaluate. This is one of the hardest things in straight pool, is this seeming contradiction between sticking with your plan and reevaluating. But it's a skill that can be developed, and this can lead to the end of runs if your mind isn't in the game. This is what we're talking about. And it's hilarious because, let me rewind this. Listen to what I say here.
You can't not get the wrong angle that way.
That's where the title of this video comes from. You can't not get it wrong. A triple negative. One of my viewers pointed that out, how funny that was. And I think that's actually wrong. It should be you can't not get it right, I think is the correct whatever. You know what I mean? Don't use triple negatives. Stay positive at the pool table. Let's go to the next one. Here's another shot that I think leads to the end of a lot of racks, and that's the cue ball up table after the break shot. It's something I really struggle with. A lot of the times when you do that, the high ball I'm right-handed, so I'm often breaking the rack from this side. Use a high ball. That cue ball can go 2 rails and go all the way up to the top of the table, especially on today's equipment. It's something I guard against. And I got very fortunate here that I've got the 6 ball hanging right in front of the pocket. But I tell you, this has ended a lot of my runs because you either have no shot or you've got a very long, difficult shot, and sometimes the cue ball's against the head rail. It's something to work on. If you find your cue ball going up table, set that break shot back up and experiment with less speed, more speed, hitting higher on the cue ball, lower. You want to get the cue ball to stay down table or stop in the center of the table and not be up table. But I wanted to show this shot because I'm going around the 4 ball, and this is a really nice play when it's available. It doesn't look like it's really that natural, but you can cut this with a little bit, it doesn't take a lot, just a little bit of inside English, and that'll shorten the cue ball up so it goes right around that 4, opens up your cluster, and then you have insurance in both directions. So some people are looking at, the cue ball goes way up table, they're 8 feet away from the ball, and they just want to cinch it, they just want to hit it soft. You have a higher percentage chance of getting a good result if you hit it with a good positive stroke like that with inside English, and look how productive that shot was. Now I'm pointing to the rack. This is the same rack, later on in the same rack, I believe. And I think I want to use the 7 or possibly the 7 as a break ball. And I'm talking about getting a shot on the 13 because I can use the 3 as a key ball in the side for this break ball or the 1. But right now I'm talking about getting a shot on the 5, and the 5's kind of trapped by this 12. But what I'm talking about is I can come up table here after shooting this 11, and then I'll have a shot either on the 5 or on the 13, and then I can work my end pattern from there. But this turns into a fail. Let's watch what happens. Now you can say that this is a failure of execution because obviously that's not where I wanted the cue ball to go. From there, I don't have a shot on the 5. I've got a backwards cut on the 12, a really tough cut on the 3 in the side, and I've got the wrong angle on the 13, which is going to bump the 3 ball. Now, this is a real common type of error, and often we can recover from these errors. As I say, I have a couple of shots, and maybe I can recover. But you don't want to bump balls late in the rack. And let's go take a look again. From this position, we've got to ask ourselves, is there a way that we can play the cue ball that doesn't have a chance of failing like that one did? And I obviously there's multiple possibilities, but I think a better play here is to send the cue ball this way. Because from up here, I'm going to have a shot on the 1 somehow, and I will have a shot on this 5 ball this way. Unless if I hit it so soft that the cue ball stops here, and then, like I said, I have a shot on the 1, and I have a shot on the 12, and maybe even the 13. So, I mean, I might be nitpicking here. Obviously, this is a failure of execution. And one thing you got to think about in that respect is Q-tip position. We get to this point in the rack and you're like, oh, it's easy from here. I'm going to clean these up easy. And we can start to rush, and you cannot rush. You've got to be very careful with your Q-tip position, just like you are on all of your other shots. And had I done that, the cue ball might have just come right up here and I might have been golden. So two things to think about, especially late in the rack, to avoid that type of error. So this is not a bad end pattern. It's not great, but this was a difficult rack to get through. And I've chosen the 15 ball as my break ball, okay? And as you can see, you can climb down the ladder here. So I'm going to shoot 15, 5, 8, 12. So here's the shot line for the 5. And I have to stay on this side of the shot line because then it's easy to slide the cue ball over here, stay on the this side of the shot line to the 8 in the pocket so that you can stay this way on this side of the shot line for the 12, and then you can drop down here for the 4, and that's your key ball for your 15 ball break shot. So this is all about staying on the right side of the shot line. This type of error can end your run really quickly. Look what I do with the 15. I come way past the shot line. So from there, the layout of the balls becomes impossible, almost impossible. What can you do from here? And you can try and draw the cue ball over here and, I don't know, shoot the 4 ball. You can try and bump the 8 and hope it doesn't tie up with something and hope you get a shot on the 12. It becomes monumentally more difficult. And I think what I try to do here is, I decide that that the cue ball is going to bump the 12. What I think is going to happen is my cue ball is going to hit the 12 full, knock the 12 down here, and then I will have a shot on the 8 in the side. And then I'll be able to use these 2 balls below my break ball to get on the break ball. And we're in recovery mode, and things can happen like this. I failed to bump it, come back up and freeze to the back. I don't have a shot. I talk about this a lot of the time in my racks of the week. I talk about shot line to the pocket. And I don't show my pre-shot routine for this 15, but this is the reason why, again, care, attention to detail and end patterns. Before you shoot this 15, you have to walk over here and look, because you're identifying this shot line and you're identifying how far the cue ball should come off the rail so you don't end up on the wrong side. Check out what I did as a recovery. I think this is just kind of cool. Rail first on this 4 ball, 3 rails around the table to try to shoot the 8 ball in the same pocket. Now that's a pretty good shot, but is that how you want to be running all of your racks? No, you don't want to have to be doing that. So now I've got a shot on this 8 ball, and I'm going to be making a video pretty soon called How to Shoot Straight. And some of the tips from that really helped me with this shot, because obviously I'm cutting this ball thinly off from the rail, and I've got to roll it softly and get a shot on the ball that I'm bumping. And I pull it off. Now I moved my break ball a little bit, but I have a shot on the 12, and I can spin the cue ball with inside English down here to get on the break shot. So I think it's just kind of interesting that even though I completely butchered that end pattern, I was able to get to the break shot and get into the next rack. This is a good end pattern, but that I mess up. So the 6 ball is the break ball, obviously. The 1 ball is my key ball, and the reason why it works is I have got K2 balls over here. So I'll be able to set myself up perfectly straight to just roll forward for my break shot. The key to this is I need to shoot these balls last before the 1 ball. I think I'd like to shoot the 4 ball on the side. So I think I make a couple of decision errors here. I want to go 5, it looks like the 12, 5, 12, 4. And that means, here's the shot line to the 12. I need to be down here. I need to be low on this 12 so that I can bounce out and come back over here. And I have a pretty large window where I can shoot this 4 ball on the side and then shoot the 11 and the 8 last. The alternative is come off the rail with this 5 and shoot the 4, because from the 4 you can draw back or do something to get positioned on this 14 and then get your cue ball over here for these balls. Instead of doing either of those things, again, I come across the shot line. I didn't mean to. So now I don't have a shot on the 4, and I'm too straight on this 14. So the only way, I mean, maybe you can shoot the 14 and then the 8 and then the 4 and then the 11, but I've fallen out of the pattern. And this is something that can really end a lot of your runs because when you're in your end pattern with only 4, 5, 6 balls left, you're out of options. You've got to get your cue ball in the pattern and keep it there. But I'm showing this one because I followed up. I recover and then I follow it up twice. So what I'm talking about now is I've got to draw the cue ball back to a very small window because I can't get the cue ball over here to try and get straight in on this 4 on the side, and then I can recover my end pattern. So I get pretty fortunate in that I hit this really good. Okay, so now I look at this, and the way that I identify I want to run these balls, and there's different patterns, but I want to get an inside angle on this 11. I want to lay the cue ball against the rail, because all I have to do is just slide over here a little bit. And I've actually got a pretty wide position zone on this 8 to land perfectly straight on the 1 ball on the side. And you saw how quickly I went down to the shot and shot it and completely lost my angle. Now tell me, how are you going to run the end pattern from here? Maybe I'm showing the overhead so you can see. I've got a pretty big angle to cut the 8 ball over there. Maybe you can cut it over there, pinch the cue ball here and hold it and be okay. I decide that what I want to do is draw the cue ball back, and I want to cheat the pocket and get the cue ball back here, and I'm hoping I'll be full enough that I'll be able to just kind of slide the cue ball here to get straight on the 1 on the side, neither of which happens. Now I'm able to recover the rack, and I'm not going to bother showing it, but what happens is I draw the cue ball back straight. I don't get the angle I need. So then I have to cut the 1 in the side, send the cue ball to the head rail and down, and I luckily, again, I get a pretty good angle where I can cut the 8 in this side, and I draw it over to here so I get on the break shot. Look at all that cue ball movement. Look at all that. When the cue ball movement for the end pattern, if the cue ball had stopped here, the cue ball movement would have been this and then this. Okay? So just stressing the importance when you see a good end pattern, you've got to work harder. Work hard to get that cue ball in the pattern and keep it there. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, this is kind of the mid rack. The rack looks like it's been pretty much solved. There's no two balls touching. But what I'm looking at is that I've got a break ball here with the 9, and I've got key balls. So I'm just in a perfect situation. So you're kind of looking for pivot balls so that you can clear the remaining balls without touching anything. And the 5 and the 11 could be pivot balls. What I'm trying to do is get on this 15, because once the 15's gone, then the 8 and the 12 can go back over here once the 3's gone. So I want to shoot the 4 ball right now and go to the rail here for the 11, for the 5. Because with the 5, I can roll forward to here, shoot the 3, and come up here and shoot the 15. So I'm clearing paths to pockets. Now, that's not the only way you can run this, but that's what I'm looking at. And so just like I just mentioned on the end pattern, watch what I do on this shot. Not only do I not get a shot on the 5, I freeze the cue ball to the back of the 9 ball. So I don't even have any shot on the table. So this is carelessness. This is the kind of thing that can end any run. This is what makes straight pool difficult. You almost have no way to recover sometimes when you make position errors like this. And I'm going to draw attention to a good pre-shot routine where you visualize the route of the cue ball beforehand, and then once again, Q-tip position. When you're down on the shot, you should have eye patterns that go from the cue ball to the object ball, and you want to make sure that your Q-tip position is correct. Look how hard this shot is. It's not hard. It's the simplest shot in the world, but you've got to get your position correct in order to keep the run going. That's what makes straight pool so difficult. And my advice for that is, once again, pay more attention to Q-tip position. Okay, one more. This looks like a really simple example, but it's critical. I've got a break ball, obviously, and a key ball. Now, this isn't the best K2 because it's not in line with the shot. It's away from it. But all I need is any angle on this 15 ball. If I'm below it, I just draw straight up. If I'm straight in, I draw to the rail and back. And if I'm above it, then I go 2 rails like this. And it's very easy to get your position on this key ball in the side pocket. And so knowing that, you need, once again, to visualize the shot before you get down on it so that you don't do this. I didn't get any of those 3 angles that I needed. And so now I've got to, again, I have to shoot a recovery shot. I'm so thin on this 15 ball that I can't go forward. I'm going to run into my key ball or scratch in the side. That's super difficult. And I can't go past my ball here. I'll probably scratch in the corner pocket. So I've got to shoot my key ball. So again, I'm in the recovery situation like I demonstrated earlier, trying to recover what should have been a routine end pattern. And all because I didn't take the time to visualize how far I needed to get my cue ball off the rail to get good position on the 15. So luckily I hit a pretty good shot there. Now I have that angle that I wanted to go 2 rails around, and I didn't walk with my feet and go look, did I? What you're supposed to do in that situation, especially since you just shot a recovery shot, don't just go stand behind the cue ball and then shoot. You've got to walk over here and look. I need my cue ball here. That means I want to hit the rail here, and I need to travel this far. It's what I'm saying, it's all visualizing this path so that you can get the cue ball over here and have an angle on your break shot. If you don't use your feet, what you end up doing is this. Completely the wrong angle. Now, and that's doubly tough because I just made an excellent recovery shot to get there and then blow it. So there's 2 lessons there, and they both have to do with visualizing where you need that cue ball on the next shot. Straight pool is really a mentally hard game. You've always got to be thinking and visualizing. This is a different one because it looks like a pretty routine break shot. I've got an inside angle. Here's the ghost ball position. The cue ball is going to hit this corner ball most likely. And then I have a follow stroke, and you could even have some right English on it if you wanted. And you want the cue ball to go 2 rails out center table. And I think this is a good shot, even on today's modern fast equipment, because you're going to be hitting this corner ball really full. But let's take a look at what happens. No shot, but it's my fault. Look at the cue ball spin. So what happened there? What happened was I call it, I chunked it. And that's that I really stroked down on the cue ball, and I didn't get any follow on it. If you notice, the cue ball didn't hit the 3. It went to the second ball in the rack, and it just kind of stunned it. So it ran into that ball and then bounced straight back off of it. And you can see the cue ball spinning. It doesn't have any top spin. It's all side spin. And that's something that can happen on this type of break shot, especially because I'm on the wrong side of the rack for a right-hander, so I'm stretched all the way out. So it's about Q-tip position. When you have any type of stance, especially on the break shot, that's slightly compromised, so I'm stretched out this time. Sometimes if you're a right-hander, you're shooting over this side pocket at a break ball on the left side of the rack. Anytime your break shot is compromised, you need to be doubly certain of your Q-tip position and that you're going to be stroking level and straight. It also helps to take something off. Don't go for the power stroke to get the cue ball around here. Possibly it would have been better to go ahead and cue this with low and just a medium soft stroke and try and draw the cue ball this way. And if I was on the other side of the rack, I wouldn't do that, because I could have a much better bridge and stance. So the lesson there is sometimes when things are compromised, when your stance or your bridge or something is compromised, don't try to do the same break shot that you would normally do. Take something off or do something a little bit different. This is a tricky one because it was a difficult rack and it's mostly solved, but there's actually 2 problems still. There's the 1 and the 4 and these 2 stripe balls here that need to be opened up. I can use the 9 ball as a break shot or possibly one of these. And so I played position to get this shot on the 3 ball, thinking that I can roll forward and just gently tap these balls and get a shot on the 7 ball as my insurance ball. And then I'll find some way to deal with those 2 balls near the side pocket. Let's see the result of this shot. Remember, I said I have in my mind that I just want to tap one of these balls. So I hit that softly and just tap it. What happened? What happened is it tied up with the 5. So although I solved a problem, I just created another problem. So it's no good. I thought I needed to tap it softly, firstly to preserve a shot on the 7 ball. And secondly, I thought one of these balls would only move a little bit, like perhaps the 10 would stop right here and they would be wide open, but that didn't happen. After this, I got to shoot with the bridge, so I can't draw the cue ball and nudge these, and I really can't do anything with the cue ball, and I end up with no shot, and the run ends. In my opinion, the error here is, and although I say this a lot when you have clusters, especially after later in the rack, you don't need to be bashing into balls. You just want to tap them gently. There are times, I believe in this shot, I should have hit this hard enough to really make these balls move, to make the 10 ball hit the 5 and travel a couple of feet. I think I should have hit it hard. I mean, not blast away, but hard enough to get separation. So at least I have a chance of these balls separating. Part of the reason why I think that's acceptable in this situation is the cue ball's hitting them full and it's not going to go anywhere. So I'm very likely to have a shot on the 7 ball anyway, or the 13 back in the other direction, or one of these balls up into the upper corner pocket. So again, you're constantly thinking in straight pool, and I had it in my mind that I need to hit this gently because that's what you almost always do. I think this situation, because of the difficulty of the rack, you can't take that chance. And I think this really called, and plus I'm running into balls and pushing them towards another ball. You've got to say to yourself, no, this is one of the rarer occasions where you needed to hit it hard enough to get separation and open those balls up. This is an interesting one. I'm going to miss this 5 ball. And it's a long shot in the corner. I'm not really that hampered bridge-wise, and it's almost straight, so you figure, oh, this is a high percentage shot. I don't have to shoot it. I could shoot the 3 ball. I think I could shoot one of these balls over here as well, but possibly I'm trying to preserve this 12 as a break shot. Maybe not. Maybe I want to use the 8 as a break shot. But the point is this. When you miss a ball, you've got to ask yourself why. Okay? So where did the object ball hit? The object ball hit the far side of the pocket. That means I overcut it. And the cue ball went to a good location because I wanted a shot in the 13 next. Every shot has 2 components. Where does the object ball go? Where does the cue ball go? If I'm playing this shot and all I need to do with the cue ball is stop it dead or draw it back 2 inches, just cinch it right here to get position for the next shot, I'm probably not going to miss it. It's the combination of the length of the shot and the difficulty of the position that makes it a higher probability of a miss. So you either have to take more care or say, no, that's the wrong shot. Let's find a different pattern. How about from here, shooting the 8 ball and running into these to open them up, and then I'll have the 13 next. It's a decision error to shoot that shot if you're not 100% confident in both pocketing the ball and the position. And the decision error is to not evaluate what other options you have and go for something that's a higher percentage. Some of you are saying to yourself, oh, that's not that hard of a shot. You're near to straight in, and all you got to do is stun the cue ball over to the rail. Well, I set this up 3 or 4 times, and here's another one of my attempts. And this time I'm making sure I don't miss the ball. And the cue ball didn't go where I needed it to. This is going to be a different equation for every player. You need to know what your skill levels are and what your comfort level is. Don't choose the better shot for the pattern if you're not 100% certain of both parts of the equation, pocketing the ball and the position. That's the lesson there. Well, that certainly was something completely different. Let me know what you think. Do you get more out of a regular where we show a rack and that's successful and talk about the options and the things that can go wrong, or was this helpful as well? Just showing individual failures. I call them failure points. Let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think, and tell me what else you might have noticed as a lesson that someone can be aware of that can help them to keep their runs going. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next week on Rack of the Week.